beholder. A phrase very popular and very much used. When it comes down to today's views on beauty, they think about the physical appearance. Like they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But those who are looking sometimes don't really see true beauty. Like art. There's abstract art, and many people, when they walk by the abstract art, they're just like, I don't get it. I look at it and there's nothing there. It's just a bunch of squiggles or a bunch of blocks. But the artist, the person who created it, sees it. Because the person who created took their time to make the specific line go this way or make a block this color, The person who created it knows its true beauty. And if the person who creates it knows its true beauty and expresses what they see to everyone else, then everyone else will slowly come to accordance that, wow, that piece of art actually is beautiful. Now, in today's world, it's, for beauty, it's what to do to look younger and what to do to look sexier, right? That's on every title magazine at all the stores. It's inevitable. I go to the store, I look to the rack, looking for a piece of candy. Candy's amazing, first of all. I'm looking for a piece of candy, and I look at the magazines, and every subtitle, how to get prettier, how to turn that look around in 2 seconds. It's like the drive-through way to supposedly getting this beautiful appearance. Now, I know this theme has been kind of linked to just girls, beauty, girls. No, but I would like to dedicate my voice to boys and girls who find themselves circled but by what all these ideas of what beauty is, because not only do girls go through it, but boys go through it as well. Growing up wasn't easy for me. I still am, but I was a chubby girl with oily, these curly hair and glasses. Not as cool as these, as some of the Sunday school kids tell me that these are cool. But I had some binoculars, and I found it very hard to be sociable. And because I couldn't be sociable, because I felt so isolated, because the girls had their cute blonde hair, or they had their little pigtails. I found it hard to be sociable with them because I felt like complete opposite. I felt like a toad next to them, right? And I was constantly compared to my eldest sibling. My eldest sibling, I love her with all my heart, but she's so beautiful. She's always been beautiful. Ever since we were little, she was a cute baby. She was a cute little girl. She was a cute preteen. She was a beautiful young lady, and now she's a beautiful woman and a beautiful mother now. It's always constantly compared to her in looks. Because how they always say, oh, you look like your sister, and then but not really, because she's beautiful, or oh, well, your sister's skinnier. It was a lot of things. And my cousins as well, they were all thin and pretty growing up. They were thin, they were never chubby. They had cute little faces. Their hair was nice and sleek. And with time passing, I felt like God has shortchanged me with genetics. I would sit there, during the holidays, I would sitting there, and there was moments where I'd just stop and look around and be like, okay, why couldn't I get her eyes? Why couldn't I get her lips? Why couldn't I get her I was just like, okay, it's like I got all the junk that was left and just God put it into one. It was like, well, I don't have this, but I have this left over from your cousin, so let's just put it together. That's what I felt. I felt like I was shortchanged. I felt like, they just got the scrap material and just threw it on me. And as I began to grow up, my insecurities began to build up. I was overly self-conscious about everything. Did this shirt make me look fat? Did these jeans grab all the wrong areas? Does this dress make me look wide? Especially with the dresses, I wasn't a big fashion, well, I still aren't, that big fashion girl, but, I was always constantly focused on, okay, my hips look big, I don't like how I look from the side, and I was constantly, trying to cover it. Or then I would wear, something that was way out and beyond the ordinary, and people would be like, yeah, that's her. The list of the insecurities, the list of, what I felt shortchanged of could go on, and I'm sure most of you guys, girls or boys, have that list. Guys, I have some of my Sunday school kids tell me, oh, well, I'm not tall, or I don't have a deep voice, or, I'm not cool. I can't do all those, tricks. I'm not a soccer player. I'm not a sports fanatic. I like playing video games. Purities with beauty and looking good, right? And I kind of identified that when I was their age, because when I was their age, it came to a point where if someone looked at me, we went out to eat. My family and I went out to eat, or went to the store, and I felt like there's someone looking at me. Now I'm not saying boys in general, because I don't think boys generally looked in my direction, but anyone. I felt if anyone was looking at me, I thought they were just sitting there pointing out my flaws. I thought they're sitting there and more like, Simon Cowling me, were just like, oh, she, oh, her skin is horrible, or oh, her teeth, her hair, and it was so much that going out for me was the last thing I wanted to do. I just wanted to stay in my room, read a book, play video games, write stories, or just stay away from, everybody's, view. But thankfully, by the grace of God, I came to an understanding. I was 13 when, I reached my salvation. I heard the voice of the Lord call me, and I accepted him into my heart. And at 13, I had those, the foundation of my insecurities had just, began to like mold itself. And although I had God in my heart already from 13 all the way to even now at moments 20, I've had struggles with how I appear and what I look. I'm not the Audrey Hepburn, this beautiful woman, I'm not. But as the years have gone by and as my insecurities, try to stop me from reaching, this climax with God, I realized that I'm actually beautiful the way I am. I was reading in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 26. It's kind of a well-known passage, and it says that, that man was created in God's image, his image and his likeness. I was like, wow, I've, like, so many years, I felt like I was shortchanged. I felt like I was just a scrap material. And it turns out that I wasn't. God took his time to, like, stop and, like, mold me, make my eyes with his fingers. He made me, he made my lips, my nose, my hands, every single detail of me, God created. Like, he took his time and, like, touched specially to make me unique. And just from that one passage, I came to understand that I am beautiful. Now, I want to tell you guys this. Don't think that you're shortchanged. When it comes to being beautiful, don't. Because everything about you is beautiful. Every little quirk you have, like me, I like to, when I'm talking to people, I tend to, like, do this number, and I'm using my hands a lot, or then I'm just like, and I do this a lot. Sometimes I'm talking to people. But it's those little quirks that, make you unique. And because of that uniqueness that each and every one of you has, that makes you wonderful. That little aspect, that little one thing in your, in your appearance. Let it be you have freckles, or you have, what I call, what my nose is a schnoz, or if you feel like your ears are big like I do. It's those little things that make you so beautiful. God gave each and every one of us those little things that we consider to be ugly as a blessing. Some of you guys are just like, some of us get really down. I know some of you guys are really down right now, and maybe you guys are like, I don't believe her. She's nuts. She has no idea what she's talking about. She's, she only dipped her toe in the water. I'm actually drowning in it. But if you don't believe me, then I'd like to challenge you. A few months ago, I was teaching Sunday school. I teach Sunday school to middle school kids. So they're at that point of their life when they're trying to identify who they are, what they want to look like, what they want. They're just in this pool of chaos, and sometimes it's hard for them to feel good about themselves. And as usual, I was ministering to them, and they sat there without saying a word. And as they were sitting there with their big doe eyes staring at me, one of the boys, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, one of the boys spoke out. for those of you guys who minister, especially to middle school kids, know that to get a boy to say anything sometimes is very difficult. You know, and in the class, one of the instructors that was there with me that day had said this phrase: the physical appearance that you see will one day fade away. This will, not be here anymore. This, if you think you have this beautiful skin and yours gonna, be hanging on the floor because you're just gonna sag. Beauty is skin deep. It's what's inside that counts. That's what she had said. Now, again, all the kids are just sitting there with their doe eyes, just staring, when one of my quiet, impatient boys, now this boy is very impatient, he's very, he's a spark plug, he likes going everywhere, he raised his hand, and what caught my attention is usually he's jumping up like this, like me, but he just raised his hand ever so lightly, and he looked at me, and the words that he shared honestly will never ever leave my mind. He looks at me and says, "Then, sister, why don't you just put your beauty in a jar?" Put your beauty in a jar. Such a simple, innocent question, yet it had me thinking all day. Why don't you put your beauty in a jar? Now, I know the question seems kind of like, sure, yeah, my beauty is in a jar. It's called this cream, or it's called this makeup. No, I don't mean our physical beauty. I don't mean what we think makes us beautiful. Because, putting our physical beauty is kind of impossible. And it's kind of a little silly. Imagine you think your eyes are beautiful, so you put your eyes in the jar. Kind of makes you think. But because of this phrase, I'm offering this week's challenge. And it all starts with a jar. Find yourself a jar, and with every day that passes, you're going to write something good about yourself on a piece of paper. It can be anything, Then you're going to put the piece of paper in the jar, right? For example, if you drew an awesome picture at school, write it down, like, drew a good picture. If one day your hair is, worked and we had a wonderful hair day, oh, I had a wonderful hair day. If you, someone tells you, oh, I love the way you sounded in church yesterday, I love the way you sing. Guys, if, someone tells you, hey, I like your outfit, or hey, that was a nice comment, oh, hey, way to go, I heard you scored a goal, or something, anything positive, write it down on a piece of paper, put it in that jar. If you didn't talk to someone, if you didn't talk to someone before and then you decide to talk to them, write it down because you just made a friend. Now, I can promise you that you will need a big jar, because if you're writing down every little good thing, trust me, a little jar won't be enough. Now, this is a week challenge, and by the end of the week, you have 3 options. 1, after the week, you may throw the papers away and forget the challenge. After you feel like, yeah, okay, I'm done. That's one option. Option 2, you can continue with the challenge and find out more about yourself than you thought you knew. Or option 3, give this challenge to someone else and let them discover the true beauty within themselves. This challenge will only work if you really put yourself into it, though. You must constantly tell yourself, there can never be a more beautiful me. There can never be a more beautiful me. And that is your first piece of paper to go into your jar. There can never be a more beautiful me. Well, that's today's message. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope, whatever I said was able to touch one of your lives. So, God bless, and remember, the Lord has something big planned for you since before you were born. He's calling you right now, and He wants to live in your heart. He wants to be the center point of your life. Let Him in and let Him work in you. It's the best decision you can make to uplift your youth. God bless.
Maybe Play-Doh's right. There is more than meets the eye.